Hi, I'm Shemane, and I'm joined by Dee Harris. She's a licensed nutritionist and dietitian, and she has turned me on to this book that has just changed my life. It's called Grain Brain, and it's written by a neurologist here in Naples, in Florida. And we did part one. If you're just seeing this now, go back and look at part one, because that's a kind of an overview of what this book is all about, what gluten is all about. But we're going to get more into the nitty-gritty and talk about how sugar affects the whole body. Not just your fat, but the brain as well.
Correct. One of the things that, this is called Grain Brain, so you think it's just talking about breads, but really he goes into a lot of detail about sugar. And the problem with breads and starches and things like that is they turn into sugars in our body. And even, you know, if we're looking at simple sugars or a diet very high in carbohydrates, a lot of that is going to turn into sugar in your body and get stored or float around or land up in your brain. And what happens is it sugar coats the proteins in your brain, and that can cause a lot of damage. And we actually can see it. And over the course of time, you know, people who have dementia or things like that, they present with this. We always test for hemoglobin A1C, which is how sugar-coated your hemoglobin is, but it reflects how sugar-coated the proteins are in your brain. So that's what we're testing for, and that's a direct correlation of your blood sugar. The second thing we always test for is insulin levels. Now, the fasting insulin levels will show where you are on the spectrum for prediabetes. And it's amazing. You don't need to have a family member with diabetes. It's not necessarily genetic.
But if you do have a family member with diabetes, you're
at higher risk.
And so what can people do? Because I have to tell you, the reason I'm doing these videos is because I have been in the fitness industry for 30 years, taught everything from step to spinning to Zumba, and I love to work out, I love to exercise, and I kind of thought that was enough. I kind of thought, oh, I could have, well, I was going to say a Big Mac, but I don't remember. I can't say I've never had one. I think I've had one once or something, but I thought that would get me by because I like to work out and be moderately concerned about everything that I eat, but then I would indulge here and there occasionally. I think for me, it's all about balance, but it's more than that. So if you get to a level where you do have a genetic background of predisposition to high insulin levels, diabetes, or Alzheimer's in your family, what can you do?
Well, the number one thing we want to do is not turn on the switch, because you don't want to turn on that gene. And you can definitely, if you know, he's got the whole basis of it in the book, but we can prevent turning on the gene, or at least delay turning on the gene, by our epigenetics, by what is going on around us, by our food choices. When you think about it, every single thing that we put in our mouths is information for every cell in our body. So do you want to feed it good information, or you want to feed it bad information?
Well, there's occasional times when we want to be bad girls.
Exactly. So what we want to do is on the other occasions.
Can you live life with just being completely 100% gluten-free, only eat the right things all the time, or can you have occasional indulgences and still not switch that trigger?
Okay, well, if you're gluten sensitive, you don't want to ever have gluten. And in fact, there are a lot of people who call it being glutened. If they land up with something in a restaurant, like a Caesar salad with croutons in it, and instead of making the Caesar salad without the croutons, they pick the croutons out. Well, even the crumbs in those salads can just really cause a major reaction for people who are highly gluten sensitive or celiac disease.
And I will tell you that the reason why we're here today is because I came to you a couple months ago, was it?
Yeah.
When I had surgery, I had a hysterectomy 8 months ago, and I was really concerned about my overall energy, and I had to be on stage at the International Zumba Convention in front of thousands of people who are half my age, and I was tired. and I came to you for help, and it blows my mind that it's just there are some simple things that you can do to get more energy and to feel better. The great side effect is that you lose weight, which is good too. But I can't thank you enough for sharing this with me, and I want to share all this information with so many other people. But we have to avoid gluten, which is
wheat, barley, and rye, and just regular breads, whole wheat breads, pastas, noodles, cake, cookies, processed foods. But we should avoid processed foods for other reasons besides the gluten. We should avoid those type of foods because of the chemicals, because of the sugar, because of the bad fats in them. He talks a lot about fats, healthy fats in this. And
yeah, I was surprised that it's good. I always thought, oh, you don't want to have fats,
right.
But healthy fats are actually recommended.
Yes,
right.
And what are healthy fats? It's avocado, olive oil. Great. Avocado, olive oil, nuts and seeds. And we even allow ghee and butter in the diet, and lean meats. And this is not an Atkins type diet by any means. It's really more of a modified paleo. I know because I've been doing this in his office for 2 years. And these are the type of diets that we do, and everything is personalized. It's not a canned thing. I mean, we sit down with a patient and we basically say, what are you willing to give up? This is what it would do for you. If you do have gluten, if you do get gluten, you could be inflamed for 10 days.
That's what I was going to tell you is I had pizza, couldn't resist. I had pizza about 10 days ago, and I still feel bloated from it. 10 days ago.
And that's the whole thing. You can be inflamed for at least 10 days. It's your immune system responding to that allergen, basically, and that protein that your body can't handle. Our bodies can't handle it. Gluten right now is a much larger protein molecule than it used to be when we were little kids. They've changed it. They've hybrid the wheat.
Well, we're going to talk about hybrid wheat, which is really the source of the toxins in our body, and part of the reason behind grain brain. So thank you for watching, and coming up part 3 on grain brain and how it can affect and change your life for the better. Thanks for watching.